Good evening and welcome to Monday night's calendar.
Yes, hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Here are our main stories.
Caring crisis, how this Yorkshire hospice needs to fundraise £1 million extra next year or leave its services in peril.
People are very friendly, go out of the way to make you feel comfortable. I found it very reassuring, really.
If you've got a lady who's pregnant, expecting a child, you wouldn't expect them to have some of their care funded by fundraising, cake sales. So why do we expect that for those patients coming towards the end of their life?
Unholy row, the Dales villagers who aren't singing from the same hymn sheet over their new-look church tower.
Oh my God, not the right thing to say for church, but abomination.
What are your thoughts on it?
Rubbish. It's very fresh and clean and it's doing the job it's supposed to do.
Trading places in sport, it's all change at the top as the Blades leapfrog Leeds to the Championship summit.
And all the King's horses, royal recognition for this Leeds charity's work in transforming young lives. But first, they provide vital personal care during the most difficult of times. But tonight, there's a warning that hospice services, which rely partly on fundraising, are on the line because of a looming cash crisis.
Those running Rotherham Hospice say they'll need to generate £1 million extra themselves next year, and that's just to keep things running as they are now.
Well, with an ageing population and our hospitals creaking under the strain, there are calls to rethink the way hospices are paid for to ensure they're still there for those who need them. Amelia Beckett reports.
How are we doing today?
Not so bad, thank you very much.
Good.
Ellen Hawley has only been at Rotherham Hospice for a week, but already she says her experience has been very different to what she was expecting.
It's the first time I've been in a hospice, and I have to be truthful with you, it's something I have really resisted and not looked forward to. But I found it very reassuring, really. What's the expression? They pick you up and help you get back on your feet, which has been fantastic, really.
And for daughter Jane, knowing she's now being looked after is a huge relief.
She's had some horrible experiences in other environments, hospital environments, and without this place, there wouldn't be another alternative because there's no way my mum would have gone anywhere else.
She's currently one of the 14 inpatients here, but across Rotherham this hospice supports around 500 people in the community. It's run by a small but dedicated team, passionate about the care they provide. And yet funding that care is becoming more and more challenging. They're currently having to raise £1 million more next year just to keep the same services. A model consultant Katie says needs to change.
I use the analogy that if you've got a lady who's pregnant, expecting a child, you wouldn't expect them to have some of their care funded by fundraising, cake sales. So why do we expect that for those patients coming towards the end of their life to have a dignified death?
The government recently announced £100 million of funding to help hospices with capital projects, but that won't help with day-to-day costs. And if that money isn't raised, then services here could be on the line.
We really need to call for a better funding model across the UK for hospices. It needs to be something that's far more sustainable long term, and we need to be seen as part of the solution. We know that the community in Rotherham, over 20% of them are over 65, and that's only going to rise in the next 10 years, and we've got to be here and ready to meet their needs. And at the moment, unless we invest, we won't be.
And the national charity Hospice UK says hospices are an essential way of helping the government shift more care out of hospitals and into the community.
Nobody in their final weeks and days of life wants to be stuck in a hospital. People want to be looked after at home or nearer to home. And so the conversation we're having with government is, if we can reform the way that hospices are funded over the long term, we can help you deliver that shift. So it's a win-win in that respect. So yes, it is a concerning situation at present, but there is an opportunity too, and one that we hope, working with government, that we can take.
This place is deeply personal. Healthcare worker Paige was driven to work at the hospice after her mum spent her final moments here. She only hopes she'll be able to continue to offer the service she received in the years to come. Amelia Beckett, ITV News, Rotherham.
Yes, hospices provide such an important service, don't they? Well, next today, a man from North Derbyshire has been charged with attempted murder after an alleged violent assault at a high-security prison. Damien Bendel from Killamarsh is accused of carrying out the attack at HMP Frankland in County Durham in May last year. Bendel will appear in court in May.
2 people have been arrested after a young girl was found alone at a busy junction at Dalton in Huddersfield last night. The youngster, who was aged between 3 and 5, hadn't been reported missing, but police were contacted when she was seen at Wakefield Road. She's now been identified and 2 people remain in custody as inquiries continue.
3-time World Speedway champion Ty Woofenden from Scunthorpe has been airlifted to hospital following a serious crash at a race in Poland last night. The 34-year-old, who represents the Sheffield Tigers in British Speedway, had been racing for his Polish team when he crashed into a barrier by the side of the track. The Tigers say they'll provide an update on Ty's condition when it's appropriate to do so.
Well, next tonight, what comes to mind when you think of a traditional village in the Yorkshire Dales? Dry stone walls, rolling fields, sheep? Well, in recent weeks, a place in the heart of the National Park has been hitting the headlines for an unusual attraction. Its newly painted, gleaming white clock tower.
Yes, we'll show you it in a minute. Church officials say that St Oswald's in Askrigg has been restored to its former glory through traditional lime rendering. That, experts say, it's used to have more than 200 years ago. But as our reporter Jonathan Brown has been finding out, it's been causing quite the stir.
It's a picture-perfect village nestled in amongst the Dales. Its traditional stone buildings and barns, a comforting sanctuary away from prying eyes. But in recent weeks, this quaint escape's been drawing glances for one big reason.
I just think it's a mess, an eyesore.
Philip was born in Askrigg almost 75 years to the day, but it's probably fair to say he's not a fan of the makeover of St Oswald's Church.
Apparently it was pouring damp, and this abomination is supposed to cure it.
So you walk past this 4 or 5 times a day. What do you think when you see it?
Oh my God. Not the right thing to say for church, but no.
Oh, it's quite stark, isn't it?
Opinion is certainly divided. Some even visiting today, especially to capture what all the fuss is about.
I thought I'd come and have a look and take a picture of it because it's a bit unusual. I was surprised how many people were here when we came, obviously looking at this tower, so yes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a commercial ploy on the village.
What are your thoughts on it?
Rubbish.
It's very fresh and clean, and it's doing the job it's supposed to do.
For a village of around 500 people, the tower's new look has certainly garnered more attention than people there are used to. From here, it's quite easy to see why. We're about a mile from Askrigg, and despite the stunning views, there's only one thing that really stands out.
The village and the church are no strangers to the spotlight, though. For 12 years, they starred in the hit BBC TV series All Creatures Great and Small, a reimagining of the books by vet Alf White, better known under the pseudonym James Herriot. But the church itself has for decades been beset with damp, prompting the need to guard the exposed tower from the elements. Its Reverend Dave White did not want to appear on camera, but said the project, paid through grants and fundraising, went through rigorous scrutiny and came after open communication with residents.
So there's evidence here that the whole building used to be this colour?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you see on this stonework here, there's original lime.
The local experts behind the work say the colour is a replica of the traditional render that used to protect this building and many more in the area before it was stripped off in 1853.
We could have lost the tower, so it is important to do. Now it's dry, there's dust on the floor, which there hasn't been for a very long time. So it's doing its job. I think it looks great. You can see it from miles around.
There's little debate that it does just that. Will says the tower will darken to a honey colour over time. Even then, it's likely to be catching the eye for many decades to come. Jonathan Brown, ITV News, Askrigg.
Certainly stands out, doesn't it? But I'm sure it will get weathered and it will.
I know. I wonder what you think. Do you like it or not? Let us know.
You're watching Monday Night's Calendar with Ian and me. Still to come, horsepower, how this Leeds Pony Centre just got royal backing for its work in helping young people find their right direction.
And after a stunning start to the new week with sparkling spring sunshine, find out if the blue skies are set to stay into a new month. I've got the full forecast for you shortly.
Now, you know what day it is today, Lara?
What's that?
Well, it's Monday, but it's also bin day at my house.
Oh, is it? What does that mean?
Well, it means I spend all of Sunday sorting out all the rubbish, and it's quite a job, I tell you, because we're all used to having different bins outside our homes, aren't we, to help us recycle our rubbish and ultimately to see less of it ending up in landfill.
Yes, well, as from today, businesses, schools and hospitals right across our region will have a duty to do exactly the same as Ian does, or face a penalty if they don't comply.
And it was Black Bin Day today, by the way. Well, Chloe Oliver spoke to one firm in South Yorkshire about what it will mean for them.
It's the beginning of a new chapter in our recycling habits. Already, this paper, card and other materials we recycle go on to become other products. 26,000 tonnes of waste are processed at this recycling facility every year.
When the material gets delivered to a facility like ours, what happens is it gets put into one big pile, and what we do is we'll take that pile, which is mixed full of paper, card, plastic and metal, and what will happen is we'll use a mixture of mechanical aids and human aids to help extract the material and to make sure that it's put into its different fractions.
As residents, we're used to sorting our rubbish, but as of today, businesses like this skip hire company in Doncaster will also have to separate and recycle the same materials.
It has been a little bit complicated. We seem to be coming through it now. We've really got our head around it, and now we're trying to pass that on to other companies. We need other companies to come on board so that it can be recycled ethically and safely, and a physical use at the end of it. But unfortunately, sometimes things have to go into a hole in the ground. It's just making sure that the higher percentage comes out of that end point so that it is recycled and reused.
The government's new simpler recycling legislation will roll out in stages. Starting today, businesses with 10 or more full-time employees must separate plastic, glass and metals like cans, tins and foil, as well as paper and cardboard. They will also need to separate food waste from other items. This time next year, local authorities will be required to collect weekly food waste from households, along with 6 types of recyclable waste, excluding plastic film. Then in 2 years, smaller businesses with fewer than 10 full-time employees will also need to comply with these rules. Businesses will be required to track and report their waste, including how much is recycled versus sent to landfill. And they will be held to account. This data must be submitted to the Environment Agency, who can penalise those that fail to meet recycling standards. Chloe Oliver, ITV News.
That's all we've got to talk about, isn't it, Chris? Recycling. Oh,
it
and
is,
sport.
yeah. Oh, sport. Let's talk about sport if you want. I could talk about recycling. I do it every Sunday night,
You
like
just
you.
were,
Ian.
yeah. So it was a dramatic weekend then, wasn't it?
Lara, it's tense, isn't it? It's tense going into the end of the season. Sheffield United, the team in pole position in the Championship in the race for promotion after a wobble from Leeds United.
Xero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Leeds manager Daniel Farke says he's 100% convinced that his team will be playing in the Premier League next season. Well, I'm not sure the fans are as confident after seeing Leeds throw away yet more points on Saturday. It looked as if they were heading for all 3 points when Willie Gnonto fired in with just 3 minutes of normal time remaining. But in the final seconds of 7 minutes added on, Swansea scored the equaliser that silenced Ellen Road. That means Leeds are 2 points behind Sheffield United at the top of the Championship after the Blades showed no sign of any nerves with a convincing 3-0 win over Coventry. Meanwhile, mid-table Sheffield Wednesday drew 1-1 with Cardiff thanks to Michael Hiekwe's second half header. Matt Hamshaw took charge of Rotherham training this morning after he was placed in charge until the end of the season following the sacking of Steve Evans yesterday. Evans' second spell with the Millers ended after a 4-0 home defeat to Crawley on Saturday. Elsewhere in League One, Davis Keeler-Dunn scored a beautifully placed free kick as Barnsley drew 1-1 at Wigan. A defensive error allowed Dom Dwyer to score the winner for Mansfield as they won 2-1 at Bristol Rovers, and Huddersfield were thrashed 4-0 at Charlton. Bradford once again missed out on the chance to go top of League Two after they were held to a goalless draw at Accrington, but Doncaster are well placed for an assault on the automatic promotion places after they comfortably beat Carlisle 3-0. Elsewhere, Michael Jacobs' deflected effort gave Chesterfield a 1-0 win at Barrow, and Harrogate drew 1-1 with Gillingham. Josh March on target from the penalty spot. Then Ellie Kildunn from Keighley was the hero for England as they beat Wales 67-12. In the Women's Six Nations on Saturday, Ellie scored a hat-trick of tries on what was her 50th appearance for the Red Roses. And finally from me, the Sheffield Steelers are just 1 point behind leaders Belfast going into the final round of ice hockey's Elite League season after winning both their matches over the weekend. 8-4 at Fife yesterday and this 5-1 win over Dundee on Saturday. Going to be a big weekend for the Steelers. Coming up, could win the league title again.
Amazing. OK, we're bang up to date now, thank you.
We are, that's your lot.
Have to make another doco.
Maybe, you never know.
Well, finally tonight, we're going to end on a note of celebration with a Leeds-based charity which has just been given a prestigious award in recognition of all the incredible work it does with vulnerable youngsters.
Yes, the Think Like a Pony charity was set up 16 years ago and in that time has helped give thousands of young people brighter futures through its innovative way of working with horses and ponies. Well, our reporter Lisa Adlam is there for us now. And Lisa, tonight's honour really is worth making a fuss about, isn't it?
Ian, it very much is, because it's the King's Award for Voluntary Service and it doesn't come any higher than that. The representative of the King, the Lord Lieutenant of West Yorkshire, was handing over that award literally just a few moments ago. The horses were taking a keen interest, as were many people inside, because it was honouring the contribution and the commitment of all those volunteers here at Think Like a Pony. Now, we're going to be hearing from them about what it means shortly, but first of all, let's take a look at what makes this award so deserved.
You're my best friend.
It's a close friendship formed through the charity Think Like a Pony. 14-year-old Ethan is one of 130 children who come here every week to learn about riding, handling and caring for horses, which can in turn improve life skills both in and out of the saddle.
It feels great. At first I feel like nervous, but day by week, and I just build up the confidence.
Walk on. Walk on. Gonna walk on to me.
Set up 16 years ago, the centre runs one of the world's first horsemanship programmes dedicated to children. As well as learning practical skills, they're taught strategies to cope with the world.
You've got to know where you're going.
All I ever wanted was to have a child-centric riding school where we could really help children to prosper, to flourish, to be empowered. Every pony here is rehabilitated, they've got their own story. And this relationship-based intervention really changes lives for people.
People like 18-year-old Rosie Dickinson. She came here as a teenager for help with anxiety and now volunteers helping others.
I love it being here. It's my favourite place to come. It's not just about like your riding and stuff, it's about all the other stuff that you do, breathing with them and grooming them. And I like helping the kids like when they need help.
Eva Kay is another volunteer. With help from the charity, she managed to turn her life around.
I think if I didn't have Think Like a Pony, I wouldn't know where I would be right now. I'd probably be arrested, God knows where. But yeah, I love the horses. They've changed my life completely and I honestly don't know where I'd be without them.
We saw them there in our report and I'm joined now by Lynn, who's the founder of Think Like a Pony, and also Eva. Lynn, what a great day. How do you feel?
Amazing. It's a privilege. It's like watching a child grow and you've seen that child blossom. This is an amazing achievement. Yeah.
And Eva, you've been through it and you can speak. How do you feel about seeing Lynn's work rewarded?
It's absolutely amazing. Just being a part of it and having it in my life has changed my perspective of everything completely.
And, you know, Eva's just one of them. You must have had an impact on so many. Can you sum up the impact that it does have?
It literally changes people's lives. I think I said it earlier today. It's like there's a wild meteorite just floating through the sky and something positive, like a grain of sand, just flicks and they're on a different trajectory. It changes your life because Think Like a Pony empowers people to have those tools they need to make positive changes.
And that work will go on here?
Oh, definitely. Yes, there's no retiring from me, and the team are massive, and this place is just full of love. People just want to be part of it.
I can tell, you can tell that by being here. Well, congratulations to you all once again. Thank you very much for allowing us to be part of your wonderful, remarkable milestone. It was wonderful, wasn't it? And I don't know about you, Ian and Lara, but what a lovely way to start the week. A real positive note for a Monday.
Oh, yeah, a really nice way to end the programme. Thanks very much, Lisa.
Yes, Think Like a Pony, aren't they? Just amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Right then, well, we've got some amazing weather coming up this week. Here's Lucy Varamasamy.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello to you again, a very good evening. It's been a stunning start to the new week with plenty of sparkling springtime sunshine. A similar theme as the week wears on. It's looking promising into a new month with clear, crisp conditions in the next few nights, keeping it just a little chillier. And we've got a huge area of high pressure in control as the week wears on. Settled and sunny for the most part, but a brisk and at times chilly breeze from the near North Sea and some colder nights with slight patchy frost likely. As for the next few hours, under the clear starry skies, temperatures slide away. Just 3 or 4 degrees in some urban spots, a little lower, near a freezing point in the most remote rural locations, a slight patchy ground frost in the most prone zones, and just a light breeze allowing a few mist and murk patches to develop into the new day. Once these lift and the sunshine gets to work, warming up quite nicely after that chilly, clear and crisp start. Another stunning day, plenty of perky springtime sunshine, a bit more of a breeze compared to today. It will be quite a chilly breeze further east around those coastlines, so temperatures just down a notch on today, but feeling very pleasant all the while in those sheltered sunnier locations, highs of 15 or 16 degrees possible, with late and low sunshine before dusk. The days, of course, so stretched out this time of year. Now we've had the clocks change. Look at this in the next few days. It's looking so good. We're spoilt with yet more springtime sunshine into a new month, staying quite breezy, quite a chilly breeze from time to time, a touch of mist and murk with cold nights, but pleasant feeling days. See you soon.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you, Lucy. Now, you know, Ian, it's lovely to have you back, but looking at the weather, I think you should have taken this week off instead.
Typical, isn't it? Hey, Friday looks good. I wish I had Friday off. I haven't, but I wish I had.
I know. Well, never mind. We'll just have to enjoy it looking out the window.
We will, won't we? That's it for now. I'll be back at 10:30 and we'll see you tomorrow at 6. Good night.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.